My name is Tyler David, and you're watching Field of Dreams on ACTN.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Field of Dreams on ACTN. I'm Steve David, I'm your host. Today I want to talk about TTFA business, and we have so much to discuss. So I brought two of my analysts here who's going to help me discuss TTFA business. Welcome to the set, Jefferson George.
Thank you, Steve. Hope I'll be able to help you today. That heavy topic.
All right, and we also got Anthony Clark. They're ever great.
It's always a pleasure, Steve. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here, bud. Viewers, there's so much going on now. When I say going on, I mean so much happening with TTFA, with the firing and the hiring of the national coach. Well, big turn up. So my comrades here is going to help me talk about that and bring you guys up to date. That's what we're here for. And then you make a decision on what you think based on the information you get. So guys, there is so much to talk about. So let's take piece by piece. I mean, we're going to start with the hiring or the firing of Terry Fenwick and the hiring of Angus Eve. We could do it both simultaneously or bring it together. So what do you guys think about Fenwick getting the axe and Eve getting the call up?
Yeah, good. I think the Fenwick getting the axe, I think it should have been expected in terms of us not moving forward past, a group that had Bahamas and, St. Kitts, Guyana. I think where we are in our football or where we want to be, not getting past, teams like that, I think that should spell the end of a coach's tenure. One thing I would like to see going forward is coaches taking responsibility for not getting results, right? Oftentimes, internationally, results like that would normally trigger a coach's resignation, right? And I think that shows some sort of responsibility that the coach accepts for not meeting a particular standard, right? So if it is that I'm going into a tournament and my objective is to get out of the group, right? And I know sometimes for us, our objectives, if we're going into tournaments like the Gold Cup, or you're going into World Cup qualification, or you have Nations League now, realistically, our target may not be to win that tournament based on where we are now, but we should set some achievable benchmarks, and not achieving those benchmarks should mean that you tender your resignation. I think that's internationally accepted, and it's something that I would like to see us do. Having said so, that wasn't the case with Terry Fenwick, and the TTFA had to ask him.
So you think he get a fair share? Did he get enough time to do what he had to do? I mean, do you guys think he were
Steve, let me tell you.
Good?
For Hamas, a club team in the professional league is more than able to get a result against the Bahamas. And COVID was a factor, but COVID was a factor for everybody. Right? You got the support from the Commissioner of Police to train. You had your squad training. And what happens in Trinidad most of the time, the local guys that train and that you showing, right, the system that you want and all that type of thing, only about 3 or 4 of them end up being on the team. So the choice or the selection of players for your final team, it is the coach's responsibility. So therefore, in that way, the coach, right, the results goes hand in hand with, right, who you select. I think it was a bad choice in the first place of choosing Fenwick. Why? Trinidad's football, the history of Trinidad football is a highly skilled game. It's a system. We always had a system where we compare ourselves to the Brazil and the Hollands of keeping the ball and knocking the ball around and so on. And anyone knows Terry Fenwick, right? No disrespect, knows that is not his type of football. He plays an aggressive, kind of direct game. And therefore, in the first place, understanding the type of football Trinidad wants to play, I think the technical committee made an error in terms of, right, selecting this type of coach for our national team. So he will go for the more energetic players who can run, but not necessarily very good ball control, right? And if you know the history of the coach, you will then determine, you have to match that with the type of football Trinidad wants to play. And the technical committee, including the technical director, should partner a coach with the type of football that the country or they want to see the country play. So if this is the selection that they make, I will even go further and I know the technical committee has resigned after the normalization committee came on board. But I would also point a finger at the technical director if he was part and parcel of that process as well. Because what the technical director is saying is that this is the type of football and this is the coach that will help write the type of football that we want to play. And I totally disagree with that decision. So take it into consideration that we didn't even get past the first round of World Cup qualifying against everybody else beat Bahamas, 7-0, 4-0.
4 and 3.
And 3-0. And Trinidad and Tobago, who is supposed to be the second in terms of reputation in the Caribbean after Jamaica. Now, we were first all the time, then eventually Jamaica came on board. So I have to give Jamaica their respect. So we are second in the Caribbean, cannot score 1 goal against the Bahamas, whose players are amateurs.
And we blaming the coach for that.
I am blaming the coach based on his selection of players and the non-performance of the team. The coach has to take responsibility for the non-performance of the team. And it's not only the Bahamas. We drew against Guyana.
We drew with Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Yeah. And we won against Guyana.
Yes.
And we drew against Puerto Rico. And we won, a slim margin against Guyana. And every one of those teams also beat the Bahamas. I know that is not how you judge results, but you have to take responsibility as a coach, not getting that result and not getting Trinidad and Tobago past the first round. We compare ourselves against the Costa Ricans, the El Salvadorians, the Hondurans. Those are the teams that we expect to have some challenges with. All right? Not the Bahamas, not the Barbados, not the, even Puerto Rico, you could say, well, okay, but not the Caribbean countries, except Jamaica.
Yeah, I think if you go back to that, no, there's a case that I probably could make for him keeping the job if Terry had said he was going to work with the local base players and build a team with that, right? So projecting that that we were going to begin the transformation process of rebuilding and saying, okay, this is where we are. We aren't getting the results that we needed to be, because, I mean, we rightly have to admit all doesn't come down to this administration and with Terry Fenwick. Our results has been on decline for the longest while. But if he had said, and it created a perfect example, a perfect scenario where you have COVID, the other teams aren't training as well. I have a team, no other coach had that length of time to work with a team, unhindered because of the pandemic, right? So you're working with your local base squad. You had 9, probably 10 months to prepare a team here. And going into those games, if he had said, I'm going with these players, I may add 1 or 2 guys from outside with these local guys who I've been working with, okay, let's see how that goes. Because that then becomes a project, right? It is not a matter of going in, selecting players where now you're selecting those players from abroad. They are coming, they are paying, high airfares to come from all over Europe and Asia. And that's to get a result. The local players, I would have been able to say, well, look, the cost is going to be a lot lower. I'm going to go in with these guys and we're going to start a project where we're going to build on these local players. Now, again, that becomes a project. I can make a case for, let's continue with this based on the performances that you have gotten. But the way that this morphed, I think the coach has to accept responsibility and termination after such a spell is...
I don't want us to linger on Terry Fenwick fire, but in all fairness, and we had to look at, he could say in his defense, I beat some kids who won the whole tournament. If you guys talking result-oriented, right? So it should be looking at his system. Is he playing a good game? Maybe knowing football, on some given day, the ball just doesn't bounce for you. So maybe it didn't happen on that one game that it was supposed to happen. So the players have to get the blame for not putting the ball in the net.
At the end of the day, Steve, at the end of the day, we are looking at the qualification result, not game-by-game result. Bahamas was the end of the road.
Yeah.
And in that way, you would have thought that, okay, a coach that came in and demanded a particular salary, higher than the other salary, a coach that criticized every other national coach, saying that he could get the results.
But you didn't go down the qualification.
Yeah.
But you went down the
even if we are going game by game on results, all right?
Yeah.
And I was here before when we broke down the Guyana game.
Right.
We didn't play well. We got a good result. We didn't play well.
Okay.
Right? Again, if we had beaten Puerto Rico with the draw against Bahamas, we would have qualified. We would have moved on still.
Right.
So you didn't get the result against Puerto Rico either. Right? So we can't make it like if it's the Bahamas game alone.
Yeah,
Because it's not. That's the game where the wheels literally fell off.
And
Right.
who are we going to meet next?
Yeah.
The El Salvadorians, the Hondurans, the Costa Ricans, the USA. These are the people that we're going to next. So if we can't get past these low Caribbean teams, what is our expectation in the next round?
So
because El Salvador defeated.
you guys saying the hiring is justified?
The firing.
I mean, the firing is justified.
I believe so.
It could be, if every coach who comes in that don't get a result and we have to send through the door, that is going to be a problem to begin with.
No, that's what I'm saying, Steve. What is the project? What is the objective? And that is what we have to build when we going. We can move straight into Angus with this one because his tenure is a caretaker coach. He is to see us through this phase, right? What we are hoping and what the Norwegian Committee has promised is that during this phase, they will begin to look at hiring, getting a coach on board long term.
No, don't forget, I heard them say Angus is here for this coming tournament, and then he is interim.
Yeah, correct.
Yes.
Then he's going to be evaluated.
Correct.
Yeah.
And he could put his
For the long job.
hat back in the
that's
ring
true. That's true.
to see if he get the job.
Yeah.
So that means he's on the bubble as well.
Right. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, of course.
But he understands that.
Right.
Right? He understands that. He made no promises. Now, going along with what Jeff said, our purpose at this point in time was either to start the rebuilding process of our game and decide where we're going to focus on. I have said repeatedly on this program that I do not think that our focus should be on the senior team. And if they continuing to put their focus on the money on the senior team, then we expect results.
So what we're doing now, what you're saying is wrong.
I do not think it is the right approach
Okay.
because I do not expect to get to a World Cup with the present chaos and crop of players that we have on the senior team. And that stems from a whole lot of problems within the TTFA, not just Rybert Fenwick and this present crop who failed to qualify. We have to restructure our football. And if the fans are looking for results, coaches will continue to get fired because I do not believe that this. Now I expect improvement with Angus Eve because he is a coach that is dynamic. He also is a thinker. The teams that he has coached, you can see a good quality of football. He has gotten results with the teams that he has coached. And I am hopeful that there will be an improvement with Angus. But again, I am not going to judge Angus on these 2 or 3 games that he has to play because he is going to revamp the squad. He has to pick a whole new set of players. So, right, we will continue with that.
So and I even think that's wrong, to bring a whole new crop of players as well. But like you said, we can get into that.
But you blame the players. You question whether the players were to blame to put the ball in the net.
I'm saying, no, I ain't questioning the players. I'm saying, don't blame the coach for them not putting the ball in the net.
So you want to go with those same players that didn't put the ball in the net?
I don't know who the players are.
Okay.
I don't even have an idea.
Right.
I'm saying the team, whatever the team is, they go out in the field, they have to do the job as well. Just as the coach has to do his, they have to do theirs. And we can't just let them off the hook and say...
No, totally agree with that. Yes, I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
And that is why I'm in agreement with him, bringing in to add or to replace some of the present players that are there.
Okay. Yep. So, and I will hold you guys hostage to that down the road as we go. Now we got Angus coming in with a squad of players that had another squad of players, bringing in new players. He has his team. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. His group of coaches he bringing in his players, and he's going to reshuffle his team again. And now, when we come back, I want us to talk about that and what you guys think about that, whether that's a good idea or bad idea. Viewers will be right back after this short break.
To see an improved performance in the way we play and hopefully in the results. I think that this will be a new team. We'll see a change of players. Some of the names will remain there. The Joven Jones, this guy.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. Okay, guys. So now Fenwick is gone. Fenwick is history. Leave that aside. We go into Angus now. Angus comes in with fresh blood. He got a new assistant coaches. He got trainer. He got physio. He got whatever, manager, everything new, brand new. And he also brought in some
Manager
players.
is not new.
Manager is not
No.
new. And he also brought in some players with him. Where those players were, I have no idea. But which I think it's a good and bad idea. But I would discuss that after you guys say what you have to say. So let's talk about that now. What do you think Angus' initial strategy, what he's doing now, how you feel about that?
Well, I will first like to start this segment with the choice of Angus Eve, if that was the right choice. I felt that there were only two choices to make, and Angus was one of those choices. The other choice that could have been made was with Stuart Charles. For this position, it would have either been Angus or Stuart Charles if you're going to look at progress. Mm-hmm. I am glad that Angus got his chance. I think that it is a great opportunity. I like the technical staff that he actually brought on with him. Reynold Carrington, Clayton Ince, Hudson Charles, and John.
Yeah,
all right, I love that technical staff. I think that it's a technical staff that could really assist the coach. Angus is a coach that will listen to his staff as well, not like other coaches who think that they know it all. And I think it was a very good choice of selecting Angus Eve in this position. I also like the fact that he has a specific timeline. He knows what he has to try to achieve. Mm-hmm. And I would look not only at the result, right, but I would also look at the way the team is playing, right? And with playing a better game, you should get a better result, right? I think Angus would have, based on the newspaper results, I saw the people that he invited. He invited other players to the present crop of players. He didn't get rid of anybody, and he gave everybody a fair chance to perform, which I think was the right thing to do.
Eventually, it would happen.
Eventually, he will keep who he wants to keep, and leave who he wants to leave out. But I think it was a very, very good choice in terms of the selection of Angus Eve as the caretaker coach.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think it's a wise choice given the circumstances. The supporting staff as well, Reynold Carrington and Hudson Charles, I think they would be a great foil for him, right? Being persons who the players would respect, they would look up to, right? And they would help to motivate the players. Now, with this short-term assignment, one of the major things that would be required is to get a motivational response, right? To get a mindset shift in the players, and I think these are the right people who can move that. Right now, physically and technically, there isn't much that you would be able to do with an existing crop that you receive, but trying to channel their energies in the right way in terms of, again, I said, that motivational aspect, and to change the mindset of the players towards the game. I think this crop of coaches would be able to do that, right? They have persons in there who they would have played for before. The players know them, and the players are willing to work with them. That's a part of the synergy that I don't think that we had in the last setup, right? And given a short-term assignment, I think those are the things that can bear immediate results.
And the reason why, Jeff, I would not judge the performance. Angus had, 2 weeks to prepare for his first game?
Less than that. Yeah, he actually just went into camp yesterday.
But he brought in his own players.
He's bringing in...
But remember, he has the players from
He has
before.
the players, and he's trying to add based on what he has seen.
Right, he added a couple of young guys. It was the same team, basically, right? There are a couple...
No, I think he will change a whole lot of them, you know, Jeff.
No, well, eventually, but what I'm saying is, for now,
I think
is
he will-
given the
I think it
team
will be a different
an
team.
opportunity to look at, and he is going to make a decision based on what he wants to set up. Right? I know he's done research on the opposition, Montserrat. He's been looking at that, and he's going to set up. He's a pragmatic coach. He can
Okay, no problem.
fit, he can cut.
Where was
and
Molino
get a
before?
result.
Who is on the squad now?
Molino, he had an injury last
squad?
year coming into this, so I know he was out of the last setup. He didn't play under Terry Fenwick. He has expressed his willingness. I saw him. He played a couple of minutes
Correct.
last night, if I believe, for his new Columbus team. So he obviously is on the mend and has shown willingness to participate.
And who else that Angus brought on that was like a
Well, who he
Molino
invited?
No, well, there was the situation with the Rangers players not being allowed to train. And again, that
Right.
the scenario with the Rangers players again shows Angus and his willingness to reach out to persons who had grievances and was able to settle that in a manner where now 5 of the Rangers players are in the
Well,
in the
why
fold.
weren't they allowed to? Me and my viewers are confused.
No, well, there were issues, obviously, and those played out in the press quite
What was
publicly.
the issues?
I don't know the details of it, but the manager or the owner of Rangers and Terry Fenwick had issues while he wasn't allowing his players to come. Remember the whole issue with them offering the 100,000 for them to come and all that type of stuff. There was a lot of chaos and that friction. Again, that is one thing. Even before taking the field, Angus he was able to solve.
Right? I always say, Steve, right, life is about relationships, horizontal and vertical relationships. And you would have issues with clubs and the national team manager. I understand from your perspective that you might think is representation of country, and I agree with that. But at the end of the day, you find different individuals there. I don't agree that the Rangers manager didn't allow his players to go on the team. That, right, amazes me. However, at the end of the day, it had to do with some sort of managerial conflict, right? And the country may or may not have suffered from that. But in terms of respect, I think respect is a big, big deal. And Angus has the respect of the players. He has the respect of the footballing a fraternity, right? Fenwick and the entire footballing fraternity had issues, has always had issues. And therefore, that is a part and parcel of what, right, you will see play out, right?
FIFA, if every club in the world has to allow the players to go represent the national team.
Only during FIFA windows.
Right.
Right.
So this has to be a FIFA window because why? Because this is World Cup. This is Gold Cup now.
No, but the thing about it is, and again, there would have been reasons given, but as Clarky just mentioned, those issues were underlined long before they played out where players were withheld. But remember the camp that, or the training regime that Terry Fenwick was carrying out was a everyday type training.
Okay.
So obviously that wasn't a FIFA window.
I know.
So what you mentioned there, it doesn't apply to that.
Okay.
But I still don't agree that players were right withheld
I understand that.
for any reason at all.
I understand that, and I agree as well. But we cannot deny that there was an issue there that prevented those players
but then they could reach out to FIFA and say, look, we getting stopped from because that is, if the whoever is saying to the players, you can go. You're on the coach, manager, whatever, owner of the team. You reach out to FIFA and say he's preventing some of the players. And he can't do FIFA.
Only
and he can't
during
do
a
that.
window, Steve. That is what they
Window,
write.
that's- yeah.
Right? The
That's-
law is that
yeah.
if it is that I want to train today, and it's not a FIFA window, you cannot force
the
my
club is not
players to
mandated
come to play.
do that.
I'm talking about country representation.
Yeah,
Same thing, yes.
Okay. So our thing that we just came out from, where Fenwick was part of, that was country representation. It was under FIFA. That tournament.
Yeah, a FIFA window.
Okay.
So before those.
So
You have
talking
10 days or something,
Right.
so
We're
before.
talking specifically to those.
Yeah.
Right.
Forget about the practice days.
Right.
Representation.
Yeah.
You cannot stop them from
No,
representing.
he cannot. But at
they-
that
they
point
didn't
in
go
time,
they didn't go the training.
they already
but
training. So at
every
that
day.
point in time, he wouldn't pick
They
them.
was- Yeah.
Did Fenwick refuse them? No.
Well, we don't know. He didn't pick them.
Okay. And now that Angus is here, now the guy is saying they can go. Is that what happened?
I don't know.
I'm telling you, Angus went to the manager and settled the issue.
How you know
wasn't-
that?
Because he told me that.
Okay. But he didn't tell you about the other things that we asked
Who,
you.
Angus?
Yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying. There was an issue there, Steve, and the public, as I said, they know that. One of the things that he did early on, before he even gathered the players, was went and had a discussion with them. And obviously, the owner there, they were able to come to an agreement, and he now has the players. Benefit to Angus, benefit to the country. Now we're moving on a different path.
No,
it
you
doesn't look
see
good
how-
already.
You see how complicated this country is and how crazy
Well, it's
it is?
less complicated
All right,
now
let's talk about
than it was.
let's talk about one player then. Who could have done this? Molino. Molino had freedom to come and play. Players don't pick coach. Coach pick players.
Yeah.
So Molino is saying, I'm not playing for Fenwick, but Angus come now and I'm playing for Angus.
Has what happened?
I'm saying is
No, he was
that's what it
injured.
looks
He
like.
was injured and on a recovery trend. And during that point in time, you have to understand that if it is that I think that I am jeopardizing my recovery, because at the end of the day, my employment is with my club, and my club's season is going to start shortly. And if it is that Fenwick demanded him during the window and he refused, what would have happened is that FIFA could tell him that he cannot play for his club during that period and time as well. So I don't think any of that played out.
Yeah.
So I think he made that decision based on how he saw his recovery. I'm sure some sort of conversations would have went back and forth.
I hope you're right, because I'll tell you why I hope you're right. Because now that sets a bad
Precedent, and I totally agree.
The rest of the
and that's why I'm saying, no, but again, this is stuff that we can actually see. Molino is recovering, and as I said, he came on for a few minutes in Columbus's game last night.
Atlanta Columbus, yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And so he is recovering.
minor details. So let's get into Angus being the master. Do you think his team, his coaching staff, is the right people? Both of you think is the right people and everything else
Yeah.
to go along with how that happened?
I think so, and I expect to see an improved performance in the way
Right.
we play, and hopefully in the results. I think that this will be a new team. We'll see a change of players. Some of the names will remain there. The Jovan Jones, this guy who is playing for
Batu,
AEK,
Garcia.
Garcia, Levi Garcia, Pato, all these foreign players. But I think Angus is going to use a strong local presence. He will have some of the locals that he would that will understand his style, and he will add to that.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I'm looking forward to see is how he solves that number 9 crisis that we have had. We spoke about that.
Yeah, who's that going to be?
Quite some time. Well, I saw he brought in Isaiah Lee, right? Who a young centre forward, natural centre forward. He's fast, and he can definitely score goals. All right. So again, he's going to have some time to look at him because we really haven't been able to resolve that centre forward issue.
Not since Stern John.
Not
That was the
since
last
John
goal scorer we
or
had.
Kenwin, yeah.
Yeah,
No, he said
goal scorer.
goal scorer, Stern John.
Stern John.
Fight for the fight.
That was the last goal scorer we had.
All right, yeah, he is a
So,
pure. But I think this youngster...
This Lee is he played in college?
He played in college. He is one of
Who
the
he played
players with with Rangers as well.
Okay,
He's
all
one
right.
of the players.
And all right, so we looking forward for Angus doing big things.
I assume, as Clarky said,
An improved
this
performance.
performance is going to be much improved. The performance is going to be improved. As we say, the results are never guaranteed, but once we can act upon the performance, then it increases your chance of getting the results.
And they had the first training session recently, yesterday or the day before. And why are they training now at Atto Bolden and not at the barracks?
It's a good question, and that I would
Which
even-
would-
Well,
why no they in camp there? They in
I would like, right, I would like to think the Homa football is there. They're in camp, they're being fed.
Okay.
Thank you for the Homa football.
Okay.
And, right, there's an opportunity to camp, isolate in a bubble,
Right.
because when they go away, they will be tested. So to isolate in a bubble, I hope they're doing regular testing of the players as well, to ensure that you don't get an outbreak in the camp. But it's a chance for them to remain in a nice bubble and train. The ground is right. Outside you could walk out, train, go back into camp. The Homa football was, right, a wonderful brainchild.
Ideal.
So they're in camp right now.
Yes,
Yes.
they're in camp right now. And that bubble environment that he explained, and I think they believe that they're testing every 2 days or so.
Until they leave and go in
Yeah.
this tournament. So we get a chance to pick that apart when the time comes.
That's right.
Okay.
Second Supers will be the first, 2nd of July.
Okay. So we're gonna go to a break, but let's set up the next thing we're gonna talk about. What you guys would like to talk about in the next phase? We have a few other issues like the issue with Gary Griffith and his son, the this, the that.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, bring it, Steve. We'll pick it apart.
so we're gonna pick apart Gary Griffith and his son
right.
issue when we come back after this break, right?
Excellent.
Okay, viewers, we'll be right back after the short break.
Right, you could try him out right at Civic Center and see
Yeah,
if it is
you
that
have a good
he
Bring him on
performs.
Civic Center
Yeah,
team?
bring him on
There's
Civic
a long way
Center.
to travel, though.
That's all right. That's all right.
All right.
Getting
Plus,
You well?
plus travel from Civic Center to Port of Spain.
No. And when I bring him out, you guys don't say it's yours. But anyhow, I am not the coach, but we'll talk about Cyrus when he gets here.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. All right, guys. So, another big thing in the TTFA press, so to speak, is the Gary Griffith pulling out from helping national team, which is not a great idea. I didn't like that, and I would have to talk to him on camera and tell him why he should not do that. Also. His son gets a lot of press. I never see the kid play, so I can't say whether he's good, bad, or indifferent. But he's got a lot of press now, and everybody's talking about it, and now he becomes a big household name. So if I was him, I would just go get my game ready, and then let it fly, and then he could be the biggest thing after sliced bread, man.
Because you're already a star, right?
Because you're already a household name.
Yeah.
And, the picking, and the one thing I agree with Gary Griffith about is, don't pick on my son, man. He's a 17-year-old or 18-year-old kid. The media has picked on him a lot. But also in return, you say, hey, he's man now. Let him man up. Let him toughen up. Any obstacle that you cross that's experience you build, and so on and so on. So let's break down some of the issues.
I look at it, and the first point that I like to make is that players don't pick themselves. So this youngster, he did not select himself.
Right.
All right. So some of the criticism, I think it's undue, and it's pointed in the wrong direction. All right. Because if I select you, Tony, to the team, how is that your fault, right? Secondly, there is the issue of it's not the first time that happened, right? It's not the first time somebody who could be seen as not meriting a spot is selected, right? Again, we understand exactly, how it's being fueled and so on, and because of his dad, right? Now, the part about Gary pulling out, I think that is unfortunate because we already have the support for sport and sporting disciplines and so on is non-existent in Trinidad and Tobago, really, and he did quite a lot for Trinidad and Tobago football. I mean, a lot of it probably was in the background and so on, but the public may not be fully aware of the extent to which he reached out, and I know the players are extremely grateful for that. I myself, as somebody who's attached to football, I appreciate any person who invests and gives.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question, Jeff.
No, let me go in because it will. I don't want to mix them up because again we have to take the scenario that happened, right? Where I sit, don't know if and as I already directed, the coach, Mr. Fenwick, has to take responsibility for the players that he chooses. It matters not who that person's son is, if the president's son, if it's the prime minister's son. If I choose to pick that person for a non-football reason, that's on the coach. Right? If I given $1 billion into there and you decide to pick my son, that shows on you. Right? At that point in time in Trinidad and Tobago, whoever it is, many people will say, go ahead, youngster, go and do your thing. So for me to say that I'm not even going to put that on Gary, you understand? Because again, he didn't pick his son, So that's where we
right. I have a lot of questions, right? And I agree with Jeff in terms of the coach is the person that picked the players, right? But as you have said, Steve, I don't know the youngster. I've never seen him play college football. I don't know if he was present in the college league. I never heard of him in college football. I've never heard of him in Super League football. I've never heard of him in professional football. The only time his name came up was when I heard that he was picked. And then they started to justify his pick, him being a professional player in Ireland or Wales or somewhere there. And they picked that apart based on the articles in Right Wired 868. I saw that he went on a trial, so it's not that he was a professional player. But again, I agree with the coach has to justify the selection of any player, right? It's not only Harry Griffin III is he's called, right? His name. I also wonder why it is that it's only football that the commissioner was helping. Other sports were asking for assistance to go and train and so on, and they didn't get the assistance. So there's some confusion on why the support to the Trinidad and Tobago football team was so great, right? We have never heard before the commissioner so involved. So I think that in itself brought
He has been involved in hockey, because he was a national hockey player.
And that is what I'm saying, that you have never seen him so much in the media with sport. I'm not saying him playing in his past years. You have never heard all this confusion in the media with the commissioner pushing football. So that in itself will bring, and he's a high-profile person, and he protects himself and his family, very verbally. And therefore, that in itself, being the high-profile person, will bring a spotlight.
Now, that's one of the things I think I can say. Now, if again, he would deal with it how he sees fit. I think the first time it really got public traction was a statement from the commissioner himself.
Exactly him.
Right? So I think that would have given it a spotlight, as Tony is saying, that it might not have developed had it, been left been left alone. I don't know, but maybe that's just how.
Right, and there are reporters that will challenge you if it is that you are coming forward. So, it is sad that the youngster is in the center of it, right? Him now starting off his career and so on and so forth. But I think the statements by the commissioner in terms of response to Wired 868 and all these other news outlets that may have asked a question in terms of the selection of certain players, he should have just left it to the coach to answer that question.
As you're going there, same thing I was thinking. Strangely enough, and again as a father, right, he justifies with his son and so on. But strangely enough, that the coach is yet to make a statement on that, because that would be somebody who can put this to bed, by one statement. I selected him because he was, I thought he was useful to the team, simple like that. If it is, however, a non-football reason, then obviously the hullabaloo.
And then unfortunately, we didn't even get to see the youngster playing any of the
games. Yeah.
The games.
Wasn't Jack Warner's son on the team as well, a national team?
No, I don't remember.
I don't know.
No.
Warner's son ever been.
You guys don't know?
No.
Well, ask Ron Lafferty. He was on the Ron Lafferty team.
Well, maybe.
And played.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
So, I mean, special...
No, that's what I'm saying. So it wouldn't have been the first time, I'm sure.
It's not
you
the first.
mentioned that. I don't know about that one, but I know of others, obviously,
It's not the first. But sometimes players, for example, you don't have to be a professional and playing in England and which you talk about to play on our national team.
Exactly.
No.
So that doesn't even...
However, you should be active. And if a player is not active in his local league, therefore he must be active internationally. And that is where I think the newspapers...
Who is active here?
No, what I mean,
Steve,
as active at any point in time.
Because...
But just now, active at any point in time.
Yeah.
As I said, I've never heard of the youngster in college league.
Okay.
I've never heard of the youngster in
So
Super
you don't know
League.
if he's active.
But I think I am pretty...
Steve, come on.
I think I am pretty accurate with the players who are active in the college league, because they're in the press, especially for them to eventually reach at the national senior team. I understand that the youngster was on a youth team and at some point in time, and also didn't get much playing time. And the players who were regulars on the youth team, they didn't make the senior team, but a substitute made the senior team. So they are and then the newspapers started to ask these questions. And as I said, I think that it blew up because the commissioner responded. I think the coach has his own justification of choosing who he wants to choose based on the system that he wants to play. And he can choose somebody who is who is not a regular. I have no problem with that. But I think the problem blew up once the commissioner started to respond.
Because he felt like, why are you picking on my son?
Yeah.
As any father, you would do the same thing for your son.
I wouldn't go to the press.
Did he go to the press?
Yeah, he said in a press conference.
So if he did it not in the right way, okay, but he's the type of person like that. Gary Griffiths talks.
Well, I'm saying that is the reason it blew up.
The point you're making just now too, football, that's how people are selected, because football is a public sport, is not, something that...
Right, play in your bedroom.
Let me tell you
I would know the players who play in the college league. If you rose to prominence, not even if you were the standout, you might have been a squad player or whatever, but you wouldn't know.
Because there was guys who was in second division football that played for our national team.
Yes, but they were standouts in their team. Correct?
They were playing.
They were standouts in their
No,
team.
like even if
And
they
they
weren't
played a
standout, they're
role.
playing, yeah.
So they played a particular role and they played that role well. But at the end of the day, they were playing.
Yeah. I
And
think
this
that's
is the
one of the legitimate
question.
questions.
Where did certain players play?
So let me ask you guys a question. Based on what you're saying now is, this kid should not be on the national team.
I don't know. That is the
It's
coaches.
a song like that.
No, the
No, no,
question
no.
is, where did the coach see him play to select him for the national team? Now, again, this is not a club team. This is not a individual. This is national senior team, right?
And you choose the
Again,
best out of the best.
All right, this is the best in
Okay.
the country that has to
So
offer.
if you had a football factory producing players, and you had one player that you think is good,
Yeah.
and you want to bring him in your national team because you're the coach, what's wrong with that?
Where did we see him? Where did...
Football factory saw him in football factory.
No,
head of Football Factory.
that football factory is not even a thing.
That's the coach. Your coach is from football factory.
Well, there is a problem.
So he saw him and he brought him.
And I have no problem with that, Steve, and I totally agree with you.
do have a problem with
no, no, I don't. I am saying the question should be asked of the coach. It is his choice
Yeah.
in terms of who he selects and why he selects
Yeah,
them.
that's his choice.
All right.
And that question should be asked to the coach.
Let me tell you why. Let me say something personal happened with me. I am the MVP of the North American Soccer League and scored the most goals. And now I was LA. The team I was playing with has to go. They had to running financial problems, so they start selling out the players. Myself went somewhere else. George Best went somewhere else. This one went somewhere else. So now I'm in Detroit. And the coach's son is on that team. And now Trevor Francis was supposed to come. He's not here yet. So now they have myself and hoping Trevor come and we team up and they have this kid playing. We playing and striking up front, but he's not good. So I speak out like, you expect me to score goals when I have somebody who can't play, who's the coach's son, and the newspaper blew it up. But the kid really couldn't play. I see him 5 years later, and the guy can play.
Right.
So I went personally and said to him, apologize for saying that, but you have game now.
Well, exactly.
Yeah,
So when you have
no.
game, then you make the
Yes,
team.
Right. So I say all that to say, it's not where you start, it's where you finish.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
So, if young Gary Griffith is listening,
Just get your
you
game on.
are a household name now.
Get your game on.
Because they made you a household name.
Exactly.
Everybody talk about you. So now you just got to get game. And now the whole of Trinidad would jump on your back.
Yeah.
Because that's how Trinidadians are. They pick on you. Oh, you're this and you're that. But once you get good, they're not scared to jump on your back.
Yeah.
So you could be the best player and come ride the country and they
Yeah.
will jump on your back and they will ride you.
Yeah,
home.
Because he
agree
is
with
young
that.
to it.
Yeah,
He's
I-
17.
I agree with that.
Right.
So he
Because
has a lot to go.
If he can shoulder this responsibility, and again, as I said, he's thrust into the limelight, and he goes and does the work, put it in, and I mean, you already have the popularity before,
Right.
you actually made the team. So, and people would be looking and expecting.
And for his daddy, I understand you wanted to defend his son, but he has to man up. Leave him, let him take that little beat up from the public in a way, as long as they're not hurting him physically or anything, but let him grow. That would make him grow. Let him do what he has to do to...
Steve, I think that maybe you could try him out right at Civic Center and see
Yeah,
if it is
you have a
that
good
he
shot. Bring him on
performs.
Civic Center
Yeah,
team?
bring him on
That's
Civic
a long way
Center.
to travel, though.
That's
That's all right. That's all right.
All right. You welcome
Plus
to-
travel from Civic Center to Port of Spain.
No. And when I bring him out, you guys don't say it's yours. But anyhow, I am not the coach, but we'll talk about Cyrus when he gets here.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Cyrus will be...
And you see what you said?
What?
You are not the coach. And that is what I have said. I'm not criticizing the kid. I've said that the questions should be
Has to be asked to the coach,
directed
yeah.
to the coach on his selection.
Correct.
and he will justify it. It's not for me to justify if the youngster's right should be there or not.
All right. Okay. Again, and last but not least, Gary Griffith Jr., you should continue to support. Forget about what people say. What you give to this country, just continue to support and give us all you can, and let the chips fall where they may. Okay, thank you guys for being here. We come to the end. The time went so by quick that we couldn't even get everything we want in. But thank you for being here. ACTN, thanks for the opportunity. Viewers, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, we repeat on a Tuesday at 1 and a Saturday at 1. And we have a Facebook page. You can check us out. We have an email address, philodreamtt@gmail.com. You can drop us a line. This show has ended. Go in peace. I'm Steve David. Good night.